Hey, my feel good friend. I got a question for you. How do you feel about setting boundaries in your business and life? I gotta tell you, I have chatted with so many entrepreneurs over the years, and I myself have been on the entrepreneurship roller coaster. And setting boundaries is one of those things that I think we all have to learn how to do if we want to create a business that is sustainable for us long term. And setting boundaries is actually also one of those things that feels the scariest and hardest to do, especially when you are just starting out and you're figuring out how the heck to do the business thing, right? So I have invited Feel Good Social Club members to share their most insightful and best tips for setting boundaries in their life and business. I am so excited to share these awesome tips from my Feel Good Social Clubbers. Definitely check the show notes below, connect with them on Instagram, give them a follow because they're awesome. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz.
Hi, this is Mel from Market with Mel Pro, and I have 3 pieces of advice for setting boundaries for your business. Number 1 is don't open your email until you're mentally ready to work for the day. Number 2 is don't check social media until you're emotionally ready to handle it. Number 3 is don't answer text messages from your clients until you're ready for that dialogue for the day. This is something I've been actually struggling with, the boundaries piece, because I'm a small business owner. And what I found out is I need to take care of me at the beginning of the day before I answer emails, check social media, or respond to text messages. And once I set that boundary, I start feeling better about who I am as a person and how I am as a business owner. I hope that you find this information helpful, and I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. So see you over there.
Hi, I'm Jessica with Snickerdoodle Knits and Pattern Design Circle, and my best piece of advice for setting boundaries in your business is to pay attention to which boundaries are actually important to you and what actually works for setting boundaries. If you choose boundaries that actually aren't important to you, it's going to be really, really hard to stick with them, and you're going to feel like you can't hold your boundaries. And that actually isn't about how well you hold your boundaries. It's more about whose advice you're trying to follow. So choose which boundaries actually work well for you, are actually important to you, and then choose how you follow those boundaries, because we all work differently. Sometimes your boundary might be something like, I'm only going to work X number of hours in a week. And you can choose if you apply that by saying, I'm going to work 8-hour days, or you can choose to say, I can work that time anytime I want, but I'm going to make sure I have X amount of playtime or something like that. So choose the boundaries that are actually important to you, and then really pay attention to how your brain works and what actually works for you to hold those boundaries so you're actually successful.
Hi, I'm Tanny Morgan, a mindset mentor for entrepreneurs, and some of my favorite advice around setting boundaries in business and in life is that remember that it's going to improve the relationship. So first, I want you to set expectations. That's the easiest way to set boundaries at the very beginning. But then let's say something happens where you didn't know you needed to set expectations. For example, someone tags you in all their posts and it's feeling really overwhelming. So number 1 is you tell them how it feels when that scenario happens. So I feel really overwhelmed when you tag me in every post. Number 2, you ask them for what you want. Would you please be willing to only tag me when the content is very specific to me. Number 3, give them a consequence. Otherwise, I'm going to have to ask you not to tag me at all. And then number 4, you have to actually expect some resistance and be willing to hold your boundaries, even if there's some pushback.
Hi, my name is Cassie Payton, and I'm a website and launch copywriter from Metal and Tonic. And my best advice for setting boundaries is a few things. I struggle with this myself, but a couple of things I have done recently. The first one is I actually set up an autoresponder on my email. I'm a copywriter, so, it needed to be somewhat clever, creative, fun. So I created a really simple autoresponder that says, "Hey, I got your email. Thank you so much. And by the way, it turns out I do my best creative work when I'm not living in my inbox. So it might take me a couple of days to get back to you. But rest assured, I will get back to you." So really just setting those expectations on the get-go that I might not respond within an hour or necessarily even the same day, because as it turns out, there are no copywriting emergencies. So I found that to be really freeing, and reminding myself that, hey, people have gotten this message, so you should actually maybe just take a minute, read that email later, and close your inbox. Another piece of advice, this is something I recently just started doing, is only scheduling my projects to kick off on Mondays or Wednesdays, not Monday through Friday or even Monday through Thursday, but Mondays and Wednesdays are now the days that I have available for project kickoff calls. And they're generally an hour and a half to 2 hours long. So knowing that that's when I start helps me really make sure I don't overbook myself. And it sets the expectation that I'm working with a schedule here. And that's what I do.
Hi there, my name is Shelby from Shelby Lavery Creative, and my best advice for setting boundaries in business is to understand your own energy, because it's so different for everyone. And as small business owners, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, whatever label you identify with, having good energy and having energy to do the things you want to do is important. And by not setting boundaries, you're doing yourself a disservice. So figure out how you want to feel in your business on a day-to-day basis and set boundaries based on that energetic frequency.
How wonderful were my Feel Good Social Clubbers, my friend. I absolutely adore my Feel Good Social Club members, and they have such great tips and insights for everything. It is such a diverse community with lots of different entrepreneurs in lots of different industries, but we're all still just trying to show up and share our businesses online in a way that feels good to us, which I truly love. So that said, don't forget to check the show notes, give them a follow on Instagram. I know they would love to connect with you over there. And if you enjoy this episode, don't forget to share it to your Instagram stories as well and tag us with your favorite takeaway. So when it comes to setting boundaries, my favorite advice is twofold, okay? Number one is kind of a bigger picture piece of advice that it's a lesson that I've learned, and it's one of the most impactful lessons that I've learned in my business, is to take the urgency out of everything. Nothing is really that important. Nothing is really that pressing in our businesses unless you really are in sort of a life or death industry. I always joke, no one ever really has a life or death social media marketing emergency, right? And so something that I have learned to do in my business is to really just slow down. And if I ever find myself working myself up because I think I need to do something right away, or I need to figure something out immediately, or respond to something immediately and all that different stuff, I can feel that energy in my body. And that's when I take a deep breath and I remind myself and give myself a reality check that no, nothing is that pressing. It can wait. People can wait. You can wait. nothing has to be responded to immediately, right? And so making that mindset shift and reminding myself, oh yeah, I don't have to respond to this message on Instagram within 5 minutes, right? Oh yeah, this person can wait 12 hours before I respond to their email. Sometimes I honestly make people wait more than 48 hours to respond to emails. And I really don't care. It's one of those things. If someone else is going to get mad at me for not responding to things immediately and always being on call for them, that's not someone I want to work with anyway. So, oh well, including myself, right? I do this to myself most often. And then my second piece of advice for setting boundaries in business has to do with social media and our phones, of course, but it is to turn off most notifications on Instagram, right? I think that notifications are one of the most distracting and over boundary stepping things that we can do to ourselves because we don't have any control over when we want to go on Instagram. And notifications are really, really intrusive and they are hard to ignore when you get them, right? So turn off notifications on Instagram. I only get notifications when people comment on my posts. That's the only Instagram notification I get. And sometimes I even mute those notifications if I don't want to see them for a certain amount of hours or days or whatever it is, right? And I also don't have my email notifications turned on my phone either because I have specific times in the day when I want to check my emails. So give yourself permission to turn off notifications or mute notifications for certain times because then you are setting that boundary with your phone. And that is sometimes the most intrusive thing in your life, right? So that's my best piece of advice when it comes to setting boundaries. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to connect with our Feel Good Social Clubbers. In the show notes, you'll find all the links there. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.